thought I'd share a brief conversation that I had over the phone with a potential buyer yesterday. It's a call that I get pretty frequently, at least a couple times a week, sometimes more than that. But basically, the question is this. I can't really buy a home right now, but I was wondering if the seller would consider selling this with seller financing or maybe on a rent-to-own program. As I said, I get that question quite often, and of course, most of the time, what I just tell them pretty briefly is that, no, I'm sorry, but most sellers need to sell their home in order to buy their next home. So I don't think that would be possible. Maybe if you have a really large down payment or something like that, they might consider that. But if, if you want me to check on it, you need to kind of give me an idea what your proposal might be if you were going to try to buy the home under seller financing or the rent-to-own concept. The reason why this is so critical to me is that I get lots of calls every month from people who've entered into such an agreement and now they're getting basically cheated. Either they've put down a bunch of money and now they're basically being evicted because the sellers figured out some way to worm out of the contract, so the seller's going to get the house back. They've lost all their money. They've lost all the time and tender loving care they've put into trying to take good care of the property. And now they're out on the streets. They've lost their down payment, all the monthly payments that they've made, and it's just a bad deal. So I usually, when somebody calls with a situation like this, when they're asking me that question, I just simply say, what's the reason why you feel like you need seller financing or the rent-to-own program? And most of the time, it's centered around some kind of credit problems they've had in the past. Sometimes it's just simply down payment. They don't have any credit problems. You never know what the problem might be, but if you kind of delve down into it, it's usually one of those two things. And then sometimes it's just a matter that they don't really know what to do, so that's something that they think is easy, and where it's really not, of course. But they think it's easy, so that's the first thing out of their mouth. But I always offer this kind of plan of attack, or I call it my pathway to home ownership. I tell them that if they can't buy a house now, maybe the thing to do would be to just find a rent house or an apartment for a while, however long it takes to overcome the problem that they've got, and then they can buy the house, and they can pick out the house they want. They don't have to be choosing just from somebody that might consider the rent-to-own or the owner financing and possibly get scammed or cheated out of their money. So anyway, that's what I try to do. I try to work with them, give them a game plan. Usually it involves raising their credit, educating them about the rent-to-own, about the down payment assistance programs, something like that. Because those programs are achievable, and that way you get to pick out the home you want. You don't have to be forced into buying from one or two houses that might present themselves as being available under those kind of programs. If you're thinking about buying a home, but you're just not quite sure how to go about it, maybe your credit's a little slow, maybe you've had some problems with the credit recently, maybe you just need some down payment. No matter what's going on with your situation, typically we can find a way to help you get into a home, usually within 6 to 9 months, sometimes sooner than that, and sometimes it can take longer than a year. But it's certainly better to get into a good situation with a regular mortgage in the house of your choosing whenever you can afford to do that or in the position to do that, and own the home for a long period of time. Don't worry about your landlord knocking on the door and telling him he needs the house back because his son got kicked out of the house by his wife and he can't, he's got to find a place for him to live. Or maybe the bank knocks on the door and finds out that the person who you thought you were buying the house from was not really making the mortgage payments. You were paying your payments, but they weren't making their payments to the bank. So all of a sudden it's going through a foreclosure. You never know what's going on. But if that's something that you're curious about, maybe want to know what the game plan is that we could help you with, just give me a call. My contact information is below. You can reach me at 405-210-5319. and I'll be more than happy to sit down with you and talk to you about a game plan and help you become a homeowner just as soon as you possibly can. No extra charge, but I do love doing this for people because I'd like to help people buy houses. Just give me a call. I'd be glad to help you too. Thanks for watching this video. I hope to visit with you soon. Bye-bye.